Get ready.
Hey there Pips, how's it hanging? I'm AppleMoto because why not? Today we're going to be looking at rhythm, something that I was sadly born without. But like most problems in my life, video games were the cure. So I invite you to join me as I take a look at one of my favourite video game genres, and at some of the games that helped me through those trying dark times. So without further ado, I present to you my top 10 rhythm. You know what, I made a graphic. Roll the graphic. Mad Maestro for PlayStation 2. Why not kick things off with a game so obscure no one's even heard of it? You play as Tact, who, unlike any child ever, is an aspiring conductor. Even the game thinks he's crazy. The drama unfolds when you meet a rather expositional fairy named Symphony, who informs you that the concert hall is going to be destroyed and pushes the responsibility of saving it square on your shoulders. But if you ask me, he seems pretty chill about the whole thing. As your current ensemble is somewhat lacking, Symphony suggests that you
find some people.
And of course, what better way to recruit musicians than to randomly turn up at events ranging from relationship problems to aliens and provide a fitting musical accompaniment. The gameplay is pretty straightforward, but a lot of fun. In addition to keeping the tempo, the colour of the circle defines how hard you have to press the button. The mechanic's far from perfect, but I liked it. You could even say it struck a chord with me. The setlist features all the best known classical classics like Swan Lake, the other Swan Lake, the one from Fantasia that gave you nightmares, the circus song, the Alton Towers theme, and many more. And with unlockable mini-games and branching arrangements, there's a surprisingly large amount of content in an otherwise pretty simple game. Samba de Amigo for Dreamcast. I'm also including the Japanese 2K edition, as it's the same game, just with more songs. Adapted from an arcade machine that had you shake maracas in time with the music, the home version functions the same way, with you rattling the aforementioned rumba shakers, high, medium, and low, and that's it really. You start off with only a couple songs available, with more being unlocked as you complete challenges, but ultimately the final soundtrack features every song you'd expect, and a few that you probably wouldn't. There was even a nice sprinkling of songs from other Sega titles available for download at the time. Well okay, the iconic butt rock classics were already on the disc, but hey, they didn't charge you for it. Could you imagine charging someone for DLC that's already on the disc? That would be terrible. The game's simple enough for anyone just to pick up and play, yet challenging enough to keep you engaged. This game is just fun, even if the visuals are straight out of a fever dream. They even attempted a reboot on the Wii. It was okay. Vibribbon on PlayStation 1 is a charmingly simplistic music platformer from and quite possibly the most unique rhythm game I've ever played. You play as a polygonal rabbit named Vibri, who must navigate a series of button-based obstacles in time with the music. Pretty straightforward stuff. That is, until we're introduced to combination obstacles, and that's where things start to get challenging. Seriously, just deciphering which two obstacles have been combined and which buttons correspond to them, especially on the harder stages, just gets a little bit stressful. The game has some decent songs, not enough to make me rush out and buy the soundtrack, but they do a good job showing how the musical elements affect the terrain. The true significant feature of the game, however, is the ability to load any audio CD into the PlayStation and play a stage specifically generated to that song, or in this case, a list of the top 10 music video games. It's a real shame how many people missed out on this PS1 gem the first time round, but it has since found its way onto the PlayStation Network, so why not try it out for yourself? And if you'd like to learn more about this game and just what makes it so endearing, I'd highly recommend checking out Kedikris's video. I didn't mean right now, we still have like 7 more games to get through. I'm Jamalami for PlayStation 1. In this spin-off to the Parappa series, you take control of Lammy, lead guitarist of Milk Can. She's presented as a bit of a scatterbrain with low self-confidence, but put a guitar in her hands, and there's nothing she can't do. It's not long before a familiar onion turns up and dispenses some of his sagely advice. He tells our young protagonist that confidence is just a state of mind, which she interprets as,
"My guitar's in my mind!"
and man does she take it literally, as the game has her strumming along on a variety of not guitars, including a frigging live chainsaw, and if that wasn't bad enough, at one point she even rocks her way out of hell. In the Japanese and European versions anyway. Otherwise she snags the trousers on a door and gets launched onto a tropical island. If you played the previous game, you probably know what you're doing, but for those unfamiliar, it's a call and response where the teacher will sing a verse and you have to match the button presses. You can also improvise and attempt to rack up some extra points, just don't overdo it. This is by far my favourite game in the series. Characters are great, the songs are super catchy, each with their own style and theme. Parappa may have cemented his place in gaming history, but Lammy easily gives him a run for his money. Space Channel 5 Part 2. In this sequel to the Dreamcast hit, we are once again reunited with super groovy space reporter Ooh La La. Having defeated the true menace behind the Moronian invasion from the first game,
It's a TV!
We are now introduced to a new threat, a megalomaniac named Purge, who with the aid of his rhythm rogues is forcing the galaxy to dance. My first exposure to the series was in the form of a PlayStation 2 demo disc. That's right kids, we used to get our demos in physical disc format. Catchy tunes, vibrant stages, over-the-top characters, how could I not love it? But unfortunately, the game would never make it to our shores, as Sega decided to cancel the UK release. I ended up importing a copy from Germany. The bizarre thing is, the whole game, including the box and manual, are all in English. If you played the previous game, you probably know what you're doing, but for those unfamiliar, it's a call and response where, wait, didn't I just say this? Sure, it's a pretty bare-bones Simon Says type of game, but the appeal of Space Channel 5 is in its style, the visuals, the sound. Look, it's camp, colourful, with a great playlist. If this seems like your kind of thing, why not check it out?
The agents are at your service.
Elite Beat Agents for Nintendo DS. The functionally identical Western counterpart to Os Tatakai Oendon. You play as a member of a special government task force committed to helping those in need through the medium of motivational dance. Presented in this great comic book style, the characters and scenarios are all as beautifully ridiculous as the premise. It's silly and it knows it. The game has this real energy to it. The song choices all fit the stages perfectly, and the covers aren't even that bad. Wait, I recognise that voice. The biggest strength of EBA is the simplicity of its gameplay, as all you do is tap and slide sequential markers in time with the music. But remember, simple doesn't necessarily equate to easy. This game gets intense, and is notorious for damaging touchscreens, so you might want to invest in a screen protector for that shiny new 3DS. And if you enjoy this game and are partial to Japanese music, remember that DS titles are region free, so why not pick up the originals? For some reason I'm really craving apple pie right now. Guitar Man is a rhythm-based battle game from Koei and iconic Japanese artist Mitsuru Nakamura, also known as 326 because Japan. The game's aesthetic is so beautifully stylized, with Mr. 326's trademark art style translating surprisingly well into 3D. Play is split between various phases. While defending is your standard press button affair, it's the attack phases which are really interesting. You lay down riffs while simultaneously following the trace line with the analog stick. Honestly, it's actually pretty intuitive. I don't know why more games didn't make use of the analog stick in this way. Each song is based off a different genre of music, with the enemy and stage designs reflecting that. All the characters are so unique and endearing, there's not a single one that I don't love in some way. Except you, Norrin. You and your stupid accordion. This game holds a very special place in my heart, so much so that I'll probably make a full review of it in the future. So for now, I'll just say it's enjoyably absurd, yet satisfyingly challenging, and you should definitely play it. I mean, you don't have to, it was just a suggestion. Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call for Nintendo 3DS. The Dark Lord Chaos has once again plunged the realms into discord. It is up to Cosmos and her heroes of light to do battle and restore harmony to the land by tapping, holding and flicking coloured circles to the music of Final Fantasy. Everything Theatre Rhythm did well, Curtain Call does better, with new modes, new playstyles, and a much larger song selection. This game really does feature music from every title in the franchise. Now, I'm not going to get into a discussion about which Final Fantasy is the best one. I mean, it's obviously 6. But if, like me, you grew up playing Final Fantasy games, then there's bound to be a few tracks that just resonate with you. And even if you didn't play them, the songs are still great. The varying complexity of the stages keep the game challenging, but at the same time still accessible to new players. Not to mention the visuals are super adorable. There are also a ton of additional songs you can download, some even covering other Square Enix titles like Chrono Trigger and The World Ends With You. Don't get me wrong, they're not free, but given that the game came with over 200 songs, I think I can let it slide. This time. Rhythm Paradise, the whole series. I can't just put one of the games on this list, they're all equally brilliant. First appearing on the GBA as Rhythm Tengoku, the game was a huge hit, but unreleased outside of Japan. We would have to wait for the DS sequel to get our first taste. The games are really more of a collection of rhythm-based minigames, each boasting its own unique visuals, song, and playstyle. I've mentioned it before on this list, but the strength of a game like this is the simplicity of its mechanic. Rhythm Paradise takes a couple of buttons, or gestures in the DS version, and implements them in fun and creative ways. This is as tight as controls get for a rhythm game. Presentation-wise, these games are beautiful. The stages are visually dynamic and full of personality. When you mess up, other characters will throw you little disapproving glances, and the songs themselves are all pretty darn catchy, so don't be surprised if you find yourself humming them for the rest of the week. There is enough variety to keep the gameplay from getting stale, and perfect challenges if you really want to test your skills. Any of the titles in this series could easily take the top spot, if not for one other game. No other rhythm game has been so iconic, brought so many people together, basically changing the face of interactive entertainment in general, the epitome of music gaming. That's right, the game in the #1 spot, and my choice for best music and rhythm game is none other than Wii Music for the Nintendo Wii. This wonderful piece of gaming history came out for the Wii in the late 2000s. Using the Wiimote and Nunchuck to play along with sections of popular public domain songs, you could really let your creativity... I'm sorry. Of course it's not. That game's trash. No, the real #1 is, of course, Dance Dance Revolution. Love it or hate it, no music-based game is more well known than this, or more responsible for shaping the arcade experience and culture.
All clear. The arcade's closed.
But for those of you who might have been living under a rock for the last 17 years, the aim of the game is pretty simple. Follow the arrows and step on the corresponding pad. The game also positively bursts with style, from character designs to crazy backdrops. Hell, some home versions even had a story mode. And given how many iterations to this game there have been, the song list is basically endless. One of the best things about these games is their fully customizable experiences. Those new to the game can select beginner and test the waters, where more experienced players can change everything from arrow speed, arrow orientation, or if they truly want to test themselves, disable the arrows and play entirely from muscle memory. These games have created entire communities and inspired the creation of other arcade hits like In the Groove and Pump It Up. I myself have friendships that exist entirely because of these games. Some credit them for being the reason they got in shape, or how they overcame certain social anxieties. That's the thing. No matter who you are, you probably have a story about these games, be it about you personally or just seeing someone perform unimaginable feats of agility. There are those who see these games as relics of the past, favouring instead newer titles like Pump It Up or Just Dance. But remember, DDR was the original. These games have so much meaning to so many, and honestly, I can't think of any other game more deserving of the #1 spot. Well, there you have it. The AppleMoTop 10. Wow, that does not work out loud. Anyway, that was my top 10 rhythm games. Now, remember, it's my list, so it's just my opinion. Please feel free to tell me how I was wrong in the comment section below. But now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta get my groove on. Until next time, guys. Hey Pips, taking a break from DDR to say thank you so much for watching my video. Also, huge thanks to Elite Ferrex for the music in the intro. I'll leave links to where you can find more of his amazing work in the description below. Highly recommend checking it out. And while you're at it, why not check out Cadicris's Vid Ribbon video that I mentioned? It's pretty good. So did your favourite make the list? Maybe I missed it. Or maybe you have an idea for another top 10 I can do in the future? Please let me know in the comments. And if you like what I do and want to support the channel, hit that like button. Or maybe even subscribe. And if by some miracle you're still not sick of me, I also launched a Let's Play channel where I'm currently doing a blind genocide run of Undertale. Well, I'm gonna get back to dancing. So again, thank you for watching, and until next time guys.